Tracy, pushing for welfare reform is something that has been helping Republicans win elections here in Maine for several years now. This year, Democrats are trying to get in on the act, too. They've been pushing a pair of bills they've dubbed Welfare That Works. Lawmakers on the legislature's Health and Human Services Committee held a work session on the bills this afternoon. Republicans are arguing that Democratic sponsors have watered down the bills, weakening the penalties for people who abuse the system.
The Republicans are at a point where they want to penalize someone who buys a $7 pack of cigarettes with about $4,800 in penalties. I mean, to me, those two don't match up.
They're not going to be cut off just for buying a pack of cigarettes. We're looking at the broader usages. You know, the using it to go on vacation, trafficking your card for drugs, that kind of misuse.
Also today, the LePage administration announced that its past reform efforts have saved the state $89 million. Democrats say those reform efforts may have saved the state money, but they have also kicked needy people off the state's welfare rolls. I'm Paul Merrill, WMTW News 8.
All right, thank you, Paul, for that. Also in Augusta, the so-called Right to Try bill continues to make its way through the legislature. The bill would give dying patients the right to use experimental drugs. The bill's sponsor says it would allow people with terminal illnesses to use drugs that have only passed the first phase of approval by the Federal Drug Administration.
And we've drafted the bill very carefully so that it's a matter of choice for the patient. There's no obligation, there's no liability for the physician who mentions the drug.
While the State House of Representatives passed the bill yesterday, the Senate passed it today.
Well, right now, 3 people are facing charges ranging from prostitution to possession of a controlled substance. These 3 were arrested in New Hampshire yesterday after an undercover operation. Scott Sawyer, who's facing 3 drug charges, is from Berwick, Maine. And 3 people arrested on drug charges after a month-long investigation in the Biddeford area. A Massachusetts woman, Christiana Moreland, was arrested yesterday during a traffic stop on Route 11. Officials say that she was already on probation for a trafficking conviction. Peter Quimby and James Ruan, both of Biddeford, were arrested separately. Bail for all 3 was set at $50,000. And a Portland man sentenced to more than a decade behind bars for robbing a bank at gunpoint last fall. Francis Reedy was sentenced today. The charges stem from 2 robberies last fall, one at the TD Bank and a week and a half later at the Bangor Savings Bank. Portland police captured Reedy shortly after the second robbery.
All right, now New Hampshire lawmakers moving forward with the bill to make it easier for drug users to exchange dirty needles for clean ones. Under current law, anyone caught with a needle with any amount of heroin is charged with a felony. The proposal would eliminate criminal penalties for having residue on syringes. The New Hampshire House passed that bill today. The fight over birth control and religious rights reaches the country's highest court again. The case centers around the birth control mandate in the Affordable Care Act. Faith-based nonprofits arguing their health plans should not have to cover contraception in any way. The Supreme Court justices heard oral arguments this morning while activists from both sides protested outside. The case marks the 4th challenge to the Affordable Care Act to reach the Supreme Court. Tonight at 11, News 8's Aixa Diaz takes a closer look at the issue and what happens if the justices split 4-4.
Well, Maine Maritime Academy is celebrating the 75th anniversary of its founding. School leaders, students, and lawmakers gathered in the State House Hall of Flags today. Governor LePage spoke about the value of a Maine maritime education.
You know, 90% of these graduates get a job within 90 days. That's pretty impressive. And we need more people like that and more schools like that to prepare our children for these high-paying career paths.
And Monday was the official anniversary of the Academy's founding.
Well, spring is in the air, and anyone who suffers from allergies knows that for sure. In Health Headlines, tips for dealing with seasonal symptoms.
And flights canceled and passengers stranded after the terror attacks in Brussels. How airlines are helping travelers get home.
And as we look at high temperatures forecast for the next 10 days, we've got one blue bar, far left-hand side. That's tomorrow. Afternoon temperatures more than 10 degrees below normal. After that, though, a whole bunch of red will be at or even a little bit above normal. Although tomorrow could be a wintry mix, snow, sleet, even some ice. We'll talk all about it coming up right after the break.
Well, just as Roger promised, today was a little bit cloudier today, but actually not a very bad day at all. Nice and warm. Some nice looking pictures here coming out of Conway, New Hampshire, looking at the mountains of New Hampshire. So not a bad day to be in the mountains either.
No, any day's
better
a good
than
day to be up
tomorrow.
in the mountains. Yeah, and although unfortunately the next couple of days the clouds are going to stick around, and whereas today was cloudy, not that bad.
Yeah.
Now we got a wintry mix deal coming on. Not a big storm, but more of an extended nuisance. How's
Okay,
that?
yeah.
Get the picture there? Yeah, because it all starts tomorrow morning. Hey, how about tonight? This is the picture coming to us from AutoEurope.com. That's along Portland's waterfront. That's the Zumwalt making an appearance back in Casco Bay. Looks as though the tugs are positioning it right now as we look at a webcam coming off of Commercial Street. Clouds overhead as well. So if you're in around Portland, yeah, that is the Zumwalt, soon to be the USS Zumwalt. All right, temperatures are in the 40s. Kennebunk, upper 40s. Sanford, South Berwick at 49 degrees. It's 46 at the Jetport, lower 40s, Yarmouth and Cumberland. And down through the mid-coast as well. Pretty much uniform temperatures. Most areas are in the 40s. Now, a little bit farther to the north, you've got some 40s for the most part, but I think that you're going to start seeing colder air come in here during the night. Picking it up 41 at Weld and 39 right now up in Greenville. So the colder air is going to seep in over the next 12 hours, and at the same time there's moisture sort of strung out on the boundary between the cold air to the north and the warmer air to the south. This moisture extends all the way back out into the Midwest, and it's headed right toward New England. That's why we're talking about not a big storm, and eventually it does look as though the colder air comes in. So tomorrow, light precipitation throughout the day, likely to be in the form of some snowflakes in the morning, and then mixing with sleet and perhaps a little bit of freezing rain, kind of leaning on the sleet situation where those ice pellets that sort of ping off the windshield. You may get a couple inches accumulation up in the North Country, and even tomorrow afternoon with temperatures hovering around 32, be aware of some slick spots. On to Friday, and warmer air winds out. We've got a slug of rain to contend with, but it still looks as though all of this clears out for the weekend. As far as snowfall amounts, well, heaviest amounts up in the mountains where 2 to as much as 4 inches may pile up late tonight and during the day tomorrow. Elsewhere, any accumulation of snow and sleet likely to be an inch or less. 33 tomorrow, that's it. It's a cold day, but look at how quickly we're back up into the 50s, and for the weekend, it's either side of 50 degrees. My forecast for tonight is for the clouds to increase and a little bit of light snow is possible during the overnight. Portland dropping down to about 28. It's a wintry mix tomorrow. Fairly light. You'll see some snow, you'll see some sleet, and piling up around an inch or so. 33 should do it with a northeast wind. Here's your 8-day forecast. Rain likely on Friday. The weekend looks good. Partly sunny for Easter with temperatures into the lower 50s. Tracy?
All right. Thank you, Roger. Well, topping health headlines this evening, spring allergies are in the air, and if you're an allergy sufferer like me, well, then you probably feel it. In fact, health experts we talked to said they have seen a number of people complaining lately about allergy symptoms, things like fatigue and sore throat, but those are not the only problems caused by seasonal allergies.
Allergies associated with like an itchy nose, scratchy throat from postnasal drip, itchy eyes, itchy really, and you can even have itchy ears with allergies. So all of those areas can be affected.
But the good news, she says, is that allergy symptoms can be alleviated with over-the-counter medications such as saline sprays, nasal steroid sprays, and antihistamines. Well, it's something you may not think about, but maintaining good eye health is important, and it starts with having a balanced diet. Foods like tuna, salmon, and green leafy vegetables can help prevent vision problems like cataracts. Another thing you can do to improve your vision, wear sunglasses with UV protection. And if you smoke, stop. Smoking can also lead to vision loss. How about that? And finally, you may have heard that a glass of wine or beer with dinner is good for your health. Well, turns out That may not be true after all. After looking at dozens of studies, researchers now say they have found no overall net benefit to moderate drinking, that is, having 1 or 2 drinks a day. And if you do drink, they say do not exceed more than 2 drinks a day, as drinking too much poses a number of health risks. Steve?
Well, looking at your money, Uber is driving up the price for hackers to find problems with its app. Plus, free services for folks affected by Tuesday's terror attacks in Brussels. WFTW News 8's Megan Torgerson has the details.
Over the next few days, free wireless calls to Brussels are available through some wireless carriers following Tuesday's terror attacks there. The companies are aiming to make it easier for customers to connect with friends and loved ones who are in Belgium. Participating wireless carriers include AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, Virgin Mobile USA, and Boost Mobile. The free service offers do vary. U.S. and global airlines now waiving rebooking fees for Brussels passengers. American, Delta, United, and Air Canada are among the carriers that have issued rebooking policies for passengers ticketed to fly to that city. A number of European carriers have also issued similar policies. Details vary by carrier, but generally passengers can make one change to their itineraries without incurring any fees. Travelers whose flights were canceled are entitled to a full refund if they do not wish to continue their travels. $10,000 to the person who can hack Uber. The company is launching the program to pay hackers for finding bugs in their app's code. Uber will also dole out $5,000 to hackers who flag significant issues and $3,000 for medium issues. Lots of tech companies have similar programs, but the payouts in Uber's new offer are particularly high. For example, AT&T bounties range from $100 to $5,000. For your money, I'm Megan Torgerson.
Attacks turned personal on the campaign trail. The jabs GOP rivals are trading, and why Hillary Clinton is taking them both on.
If you're eager for a push into those springtime temperatures, you might have to be patient for the next several weeks. Over the course of the next week or so, I think we're right on the boundary between the warmth and the cold. You can see it here nicely. Those shades of pink and purple to the north, that's what's left of the polar vortex from the winter, and it's aligned itself just to our north. So we find ourselves right on that boundary in between the two. Now, over the course of the weekend, warmer air does work its way in fact, for Saturday, Sunday, into Monday as well. But notice the cold air is still lurking just off to the north, and it does make an appearance here. Middle part of next week, it's reinforced, which means much of the early part of April may feature temperatures below normal. Steve?
A Commitment 2016 turning personal for the Republican candidates. Frontrunner Donald Trump and rival Ted Cruz not just battling for delegates, now they're fighting over attacks on their wives. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is taking on both men for their comments in the wake of the Brussels terror attacks. ABC's Kenneth Moten reports from Washington.
Republican Ted Cruz rallied in Donald Trump's territory, taking on the billionaire in New York City.
He reached a new low. It's one thing to try to attack another candidate. It's another thing to come after my wife.
Another nasty GOP fuse sparked when a pro-Cruz group used a racy, near-nude image of Trump's wife in an ad. Trump fired off on Twitter, threatening to spill the beans on Cruz's wife. Heidi Cruz responded.
Most of the things that Donald Trump says have no basis in reality, so we are not worried in the least.
Trump won big in Arizona Tuesday night. Cruz a landslide win in Utah. Both men made controversial comments after the terrorist attacks in Brussels, pushing for surveillance of Muslims in the U.S. On his Latin American tour, President Obama, fresh from Cuba, called out Cruz.
I just left a country that engages in that kind of neighborhood surveillance, which, by the way, the father of Senator Cruz escaped for America.
Trump told Bloomberg Politics he wouldn't rule out using a nuclear weapon on ISIS.
At a minimum, I want them to think maybe we would use it. We need unpredictability.
Democrat Hillary Clinton, who got a big victory in Arizona but lost Idaho and Utah in a landslide to rival Bernie Sanders, also railed against the Republicans.
Slogans aren't a strategy. Loose cannons tend to misfire.
In a surprise move, former GOP contender Jeb Bush endorsed Ted Cruz. The next big contest for the Republicans and Democrats will happen in Wisconsin in 2 weeks. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
And right now, President Obama and the First Family are in Argentina. The president meeting with the country's leader this morning. The two leaders discussed trade, energy, and protecting the environment. Security for the visit was beefed up in the wake of the terror attacks in Brussels. President Obama will attend a 400-guest state dinner tonight.
A task force appointed by Michigan's governor releases its findings on the water crisis in Flint. The panel says the state is fundamentally accountable for the disaster. The report found failings and shortcomings at the state health department, governor's office, Flint water treatment plant, as well as health department's emergency management and the EPA. Nearly 100,000 people have been exposed to potential lead poisoning due to a change in the water supply.
Well, almost 6 months into Maine's constitutional carry law, police officers are reminding gun owners of an important part of it all. Find out what it is coming up.
I'm Sally Kidd in Washington. We're learning more about the suicide bombers who carried out yesterday's terrorist attacks in Brussels. An update is just ahead.
This is Channel 8 WMTW, Maine's Total Weather and News at 5. Live with Tracy Sable, Steve Minnick, and Chief Meteorologist Roger Griswold. Maine's Total Weather and News at 5 continues.
Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Tracy Sable.
And I'm Steve Minnick. Police are reminding gun owners who carry concealed weapons inside their vehicles of a very important law that they need to remember.
Yeah, Katie Thompson has that story coming right up. But in the meantime, here is Roger with a check of tonight's forecast. Roger.
Well, Tracy, pretty quiet out there during the evening hours. Tomorrow things are going to get a little messy around here because we've got this big contrast between air masses. You can clearly see just based on the colors here, blues being the colder air, yellows and greens being the warmer air. And temperatures, how about this? Right now, New York City, it's 71 degrees. Burlington, Vermont, it's 39. The colder air is going to ultimately win out by seeping in from the north. And therefore, as we get precipitation coming in late tonight, during the day tomorrow, it's going to be in a wintry mixed form. That boundary showing up there is the cold front. You can see the precipitation off to our west. It's all sliding in an easterly fashion. So during the day tomorrow, it won't be a big storm, but we are looking for some light snow mixing with some sleet or ice pellets, especially during the morning hours. You can see the snow overspreading, and then the warmer air begins to mix in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and that's why we're looking at sleet in and around the Portland area, likely to linger right through the better part of the day. But even though it's going to be lasting all day long, we're only going to pick up an inch or so accumulation, probably a mix of light snow and that sleet. 28 for a low tonight in Portland, mid-20s, Lewiston, Auburn through the Lakes region, and lower 20s, even some teens starting to show up in the mountains. We've got that full moon out there. Here's your 8 to 8 forecast in 10 minutes. Your total outlook, we'll look at the 8-day forecast as well. Steve?
It has been nearly 6 months since Maine's constitutional carry took effect, and police officers are reminding gun owners of an important part of the law that, if broken, could cost you up to $100. New at 5:30, WMTW News 8's Katie Thompson explains what it is and what it means.
Deanna Bean is a gun owner who carries concealed without a permit. Almost 1 month after that law took effect in Maine, she had her first test of how well she knew it.
I was pulled over on Route 1 in Saco by a Saco police officer, and I was petrified.
But not because she was breaking the law. Besides speeding, it was her first time driving with a loaded firearm, and she just wasn't sure how the officer would react if she told him.
As he approached my vehicle, I said, just so you know, there is a loaded weapon in my Jeep. And he was like, oh, okay. And it went really smooth.
That's because Bean was following a law called the Duty to Inform Law.
It requires the individual that is carrying concealed, that does not have a permit to carry concealed, that they have to notify the officer immediately upon the officer making contact with them that they are carrying concealed.
So if you're pulled over, here's what police suggest. Come to a stop, turn on your dome light, put your hands on the steering wheel, then calmly tell the officer that you're carrying a concealed firearm and let them know where you're keeping it.
At that point, the officer should respond as professionally as always. Thank you very much. To some extent, it's always good for the citizen to not be reaching in the area where the firearm might be to raise any concerns for the officer's safety.
Westbrook's police chief adds that because someone is legally carrying does not give police an opportunity to search your car. They can ask, but can't require you to give consent. Most importantly, they stress all gun owners to study the laws and safe practices for firearms.
It's their safety too. You got to do it for them and do it for yourself.
Well, Yarmouth man sentenced to 25 years in prison for killing another man at a bee farm is appealing his conviction. Merrill Mike Kimball claims that he was acting in self-defense when he shot Leon Kelly 3 times in an argument over honey at Brown's Bee Farm back in 2013. Now he wants a new trial, claiming the judge should have instructed the jury that extreme anger was an affirmative defense. The state Supreme Court will hear the appeal next month.
3 people recovering from injuries they suffered in this messy crash in New Hampshire. A car and a tractor trailer colliding this morning at the intersections of Route 125 and 155 in Epping. As you can see, the tractor trailer rolled on its side, spilling part of its load. State police say the driver of a car likely misjudged how much space she had and collided with the truck.
And they basically pulled into the path of the tractor trailer unit that you see here on the roadway traveling northbound. A lot of credit's given to the operator of the tractor trailer unit, observed the vehicle in front of him, took evasive action.
And the driver of the car was flown to a Boston hospital for treatment. Traffic was backed up for hours.
A look now at this evening's top news stories for you. A month-long drug investigation in the Biddeford area ends with charges against 3 people. Christiana Moreland of Massachusetts was arrested yesterday during a traffic stop on Route 11. Police say she was already on probation for trafficking. 2 others from Biddeford, Peter Quimby and James Ruan, were also taken in. Bail for all 3 was set at $50,000.
And right now in Augusta, Democrats are pushing so-called welfare that works bills, but Republicans claim they are just watered-down policies that weaken penalties for people who abuse the system. This as the LePage administration announces past reform efforts have saved the state $89 million.
In the wake of the terror attacks in Belgium, the State Department issuing a travel alert warning Americans to stay vigilant in public places and on public transportation. One local travel agent tells us that she has received a few phone calls from travelers concerned about heading to Europe, but so far no one has canceled any trips. In the words of one woman, the moment we stop traveling, they win. And tonight, Belgium's threat level remains at its highest as the country begins 3 days of mourning. The death toll is now at 34, with more than 270 injured. WMTW News 8's Sally Kidd is live in our Washington bureau now. And Sally, we are learning more about the attackers tonight.
We are, Tracy, and Belgium's ambassador to the U.S. tells me that the investigation is being carried out at the highest level of intensity and that so far authorities have confirmed 2 brothers are among the attackers. Belgium's prosecutor has identified 2 of the suicide bombers as Khalid El-Bakraoui, who targeted the subway, and his brother Ibrahim, who blew himself up at the airport. Authorities say they used DNA to identify a second bomber at the airport, Najim El-Ashrawi, who was also the suspected bomb maker in the Paris attacks.
Clearly, the investigation is getting to the point where it wanted to be. That is to clarify who was in the make, who was in the network, how things were being prepared.
Police raided a Brussels home and found 33 pounds of explosives and chemicals used to make bombs. The airport and several Brussels metro